is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, May the 2nd. I'm Clark Taylor. It's Throwback Thursday. We're excited. We're going to break down Dynamite. We've got a sweet throwback topic for everybody. First, I'm going to send this one out to Philadelphia, to my good friend, Head of Opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you on this Thursday, Anthony?
Doing all right. Going to watch the Sixers later. See, hopefully they beat the Knicks. We have a Dynamite to cover that, not the best, but had its moments, and a great throwback topic that I'm very much looking forward to covering.
Absolutely. I'm excited to get into it myself. We've also got It's Not Tuesday, but from the DMV, the Tuesday Night Delight today. How are you, Shoddy? What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm good. Y'all just gonna have to call me the everyday delight, man, because I'm here almost every single day with y'all. But I'm happy to be here. Throwback Thursdays, uh, uh, NXT off the air. Those are my like staples on weekly Wrestling Republic daily podcasting. So happy to be here with y'all. Dynamite was something to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about this throwback topic. So let's get into it.
Absolutely, I am too. And yeah, no, I realistically, you're the Tuesday night delight, but you're also the during the day delight most of the other days during the week. So but that one doesn't,
Yeah,
it
bro.
doesn't hit the same.
You know what? They don't use it no more. Y'all might as well give me the 24/7 championship belt.
Uh, Josh Markowitz is in the comments with "Let's go." Numero one Superfly with "Hello." What's going on, Numero one? Markowitz with "Go Sixers." I'm terrified for this game though.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun, JoJo. You got two Jayhawks. We'll see. And then David Modge with "Glad Christian Cage came back." Speaking of Christian Cage, let's get into our first topic because this was cool. I loved the show open. I'm gonna address that real quick. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It was like Bad Guy DX esque in a way, and I heard a lot of NWO comparisons across the board. I saw a little bit of both, and I loved in the production truck the hard clad contracts line got me good. And then we follow that with world champion Swerve. I don't know what was up with the purple eye stuff. But at the same time,
he's been having that like
yes,
under the like bags eyeliner thing on his
yeah,
for a few weeks now.
it's like he's exhausted, which I am too. Anyway, John, I think we both are after this whole
Yeah.
week. But Christian Cage then returns, his whole crew, the patriarchy, out there. Big attack. Christian versus Swerve, I love as a first opponent. I think this is awesome. Shad, did you enjoy this? I thought this was probably the highlight of the Dynamite portion of the show last night. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah. I don't know if it's a highlight because I really like the ending a lot too, and we'll talk about that obviously when we get to it. But I thought AEW started off hot and ended off hot as well in this episode of Dynamite. And yeah, I mean, I'm super invested in this whole EVP angle. I think the Young Bucks, you know, taking out TK last week and kind of controlling the show, starting off, I thought it was a beautiful touch to start it off. Intriguing, the opening entrance having just them on it, this whole new elite faction. I thought it was great. Champion Swerve cutting the promo, speaking on behalf of Tony Khan, defending him, and then the EVPs telling him, "We got your opponent," and it being Christian Cage, and it was a good back and forth between both of them. I think Christian is the ideal opening opponent for Swerve as champion. One, he's a very believable heel. He's arguably one of the best heels in professional wrestling. Two, he explained the reasoning for him to attack Swerve. Him having ties with Nick Wayne. Us three spoke about what Swerve did to Nick Wayne
Yeah.
at the dojo, being him to a bloody pulp. It's a lick back. And also them tagging together and Swerve being the reason for them to lose. It makes a lot of sense. Christian is so good at this, and he's such a veteran. He's good to, you know, connect the dots on different angles and making it make sense. So I think it's a phenomenal opponent. Also, just decide that it's the elite picking the opponent because of the EVPs. Now it's a circus at AEW. I enjoyed it, and it's gonna be one that's gonna be interesting because I think both of these guys are phenomenal professional wrestlers, but I think they're phenomenal storytellers, and that's the one thing that AEW has been kind of missing in a sense is that they haven't had a story that's connected. They've had them obviously, but they haven't had it in many different facets. And now I feel like there's many different stories being told, and it being the main event, being the main title. There isn't a better person than Christian Cage and Swerve to tell a story going into this Double or Nothing. So I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a heck of a match, and yeah, I'm curious to see what Swerve is gonna do next week because he says that he's gonna have backup for him. I'm wondering who it's gonna be. I want to say that the logic would be that he has an entire faction, but I don't know what those guys do anymore. It seems like the Mogul Embassy is not very embassying much for him. I'm hoping that we see a return of a former, frenemy. What about Keith Lee? Huh? Keith Lee returning,
Ooh.
you know, them breaking bread, making up, and Keith Lee being the guy to kind of be on his side next time around. And that could eventually lead to Keith Lee turning heel and feuding with Swerve, kind of a little okey doke after that. Just a little, spaghetti on the wall. But nonetheless, I did enjoy the opening segment.
Sean, I love that idea. I didn't even think about that too, because you're right. And I love the embassies not embassying. It's like they're a foreign embassy right now. It seems like they're
I mean,
doing
bro,
work overseas.
Brian Cage literally wrestled later on that show that night and did
Yeah,
not help him out. And I don't know where, the gates of agony were. They just must have went another direction in the gate. Like it. That's the thing. That is one thing that did annoy me. I will not lie to you because they did play off of the numbers game. Christian, Nick Wayne, uh, Luchasaurus, and of course the head of it all, Mama Wayne, with her 6-inch heels, looking like
yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal last night in the height department.
Tallest in
Um,
the ring, basically.
yeah, she could probably post up and dunk on Cameron Brink if she wanted to. Um, but the numbers game did not come to Swerve's advantage, and it does make Swerve look more empathetic as a babyface. And I know that's the direction we're going for. It's trying to make him a babyface, but it's like he got a whole faction. They're called the Mogul Embassy. Where are these three meatheads at? Like they're not doing nothing. So
Right.
I
They're
don't know
not
if they
there.
broke up or not. Yeah, it was kind of confusing.
It does feel like we've got a mogul without the embassy at this point, right? Like it just that's kind of the where we've approached with Swerve, which I don't hate. I wish it was explained, but if I'm going to overlook something, I can overlook that pretty easily because I'm still so excited about Swerve's reign, and the partnership with Nana to me is the key.
Oh yeah,
Prince Nana is great.
Poor Nana got kicked.
Okay, him
Got beat
selling
up.
that cutter was hilarious. Like the
Very very good,
twitching,
very
like
good.
oh, it was too funny.
I think Anthony said it last night. He says I think you said that Nana is like the top the no, you said that Stokely was the manager,
I
but
prefer
Nana is
Stokely. Nana's a
yeah
dance. Stokely is a whole entertainment thing. I think
yeah.
he's more than just a dance.
I like both, but Nana cracks me
No,
up for
I like
sure.
them both, but
No,
Stokely's the guy.
it is true. They are both good, but Stokely does do more as a manager. But it is one of those
Right.
things where Nana has elevated Swerve within the whole. But that's the beauty of it. He is one of those managers that doesn't need to talk to him because the wrestler is so good at talking. So
Absolutely. We got over on Instagram, Tink2254 in the comments with, hey guys, what's going on, man? Good to have you as usual. But Anthony, I got to ask you about that opening segment. Not just Swerve and Christian and the patriarchy, but also the Bucks and Tony Khan. Your thoughts on the opening? Because I thought this was a strong start to the show, and we'll get into stuff that I'm gonna be critical of later in the show. But when I saw the cold open, followed by the Swerve segment, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a really fun Dynamite. Did you have the same feeling out of the gates?
This is one of those things where I guess everyone, when they watch, they think I just bury AEW, but honestly, this was what I've been preaching. AEW's biggest faults, other than storytelling, is the little things. It's the little things that they don't get right. Last night, they nailed it 100%. The opening was great, playing just themselves. The video, it is very reminiscent of NWO and DX. I agree with that. But the big thing to me was filling in that block, checking it, to explain why they weren't fired. That was the big thing, because my first thought was, are they going to answer why Shad and Tony Khan did not fire them after attacking Tony last week? And they straight up said, we have an ironclad contract with a founder's clause. Okay, at least you provided an explanation. I was cool with that. I'm completely fine with
that. That was a highlight to me of that.
To me, like, because that's the right move. That's you're answering the question, because everyone's wondering, well, why didn't you get fired? So, with them choosing Christian, 100% the right move for multiple reasons. One, maybe this was intentional, maybe not intentional, but it's a little tongue-in-cheek that the two Christians chose the Christian as Swerve's first opponent.
Too funny.
They're all heels, so that makes sense. I know in the general chat, the general audience wouldn't know this, but the general chat, there was some disagreement with why Christian, and I'm like, it makes sense. They're heels. They're authority figures. They're abusing their power. That's what heel authority figures do. Obviously, Christian has history with Swerve. Nick Wayne has history with Swerve. So it all fits and makes sense. And I know AEW was adamant, Tony Khan was adamant. He's like, oh, I'm not going to do an authority figure. You're limiting yourself, because it opens up so many opportunities. We've seen WCW do it, WWE, TNA, they've all done it. And if you do it well, it can play off. You don't have to do it all the time, but especially now, it makes sense to take them out. At some point, Tony Khan will be healthy and will bring in people like Omega and other people to defend AEW against the corrupt founders that are there. No, you're not going to see Cody back there, but still, you're going to see Omega and some other babyface people. But Swerve and Christian could work on so many levels. They are two guys that very much their careers, they were undervalued significantly. Yes. So they're very connected in that way. And Christian knows how to play that snake's heel probably better than most. And I think it could work. I think you could do stuff with this. As far as the Mogul Embassy, I agree with you guys. They never explained anything. I'm assuming they're either A, stuck behind the Honor Club paywall that no one's willing to pay for. They got directions from Veer when he was trying to get the Raw. They can't find their way to Dynamite. I don't know. But
that's crazy.
That's good stuff.
I mean, maybe. But yeah, I think this is going to be a compelling feud. The thought process would be to get Swerve the victory. I don't think Christian wins it though.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
I think this is Swerve goes over on Christian. And I love that you talked about the parallels, because I think in some ways, like, Christian's honey spot is as a heel.
Yeah.
So is Swerve's in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But they've both had various points in their careers where they're so dang good. And now Swerve's much younger, obviously, right? But
yeah,
they both had points in their careers where they've been such good heels. We want to root for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good at their job.
More so for Swerve and
recently, yes.
Well, that's the one thing that I also am kind of having a hard time coming to grips with, because the whole calling them a bleep move about Tony Khan, that is a very babyface thing to do, right? You're going to bat for the guy who is, a head honcho over there,
signing the checks.
And Swerve is more appealing as, like you said, a heel or a neutral, kind of like an Austin figure, right? Like, kind of playing that.
Swerve almost reminds me in some ways of the Joker. I hate to be that guy, but like in some ways,
or like Loki.
It's funny. There's certain talents. MJF did this. Swerve did this. Piper. A lot of them do it. They're so good at what they do. There's going to be a portion of the audience that will always cheer them because they respect their craft. So it's a tightrope of, no, I need you to boo me. I know you appreciate my work and I appreciate it, but you need to boo me. And I think Swerve and MJF, certain talents, especially as the audience gets a little smarter and they're checking online, they're learning all these little things. It's a little bit more difficult, the tightrope.
It is. It is. It's so true.
But
2254 and the go ahead, Shad. First, and then I'll read the
No,
comment.
I say, and I think that's why it is brilliant to give him Christian Cage out
Yeah.
the gate, because he is the heel that, I mean, is touching whatever boundary it may be. Telling him
He doesn't
last
care.
night that I'm gonna give your daughter a new like
New
father
daddy or
figure.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, like that's real heel.
Those are fighting
heat.
words.
Yeah, those are stuff that you can
Yeah,
literally
that's-
get your jaw broken.
You can't get away with that
But-
at a bar.
But they respect it. They're fine with that line in the wrestling ring. But
Yes.
in theory, though, he should definitely break his jaw.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The thing is, if they extend this, both guys can go really dark and get really violent.
It's true.
They both have
But
dark
Swerve's
sides.
good at that too.
So I think if Christian drives him to a point, I think you could see the Swerve that hung Hangman Page. You could see that sadistic Swerve come out. Really heated feud with the two of them would be the smart play.
Honestly, I would like that if they did do that. And I don't know if they are going to do it, because it definitely just feels like a first feud in and out at Double or Nothing. But like, to Anthony's point, it can get to the same like magnitude of like a blood feud as Hangman and Swerve, because both of these guys are really freaking good at telling the stories. So
okay, the comment I will read. Tink 2254 said he never cared for Christian, but at all the BS aside, he can work and talk on the mic as well as anybody. And I
cared for Christian.
I will say this: the interesting thing for me is, so when it was Edge and Christian, I saw Edge as the more valuable, and
So
I actually
WWE.
yes, but I regret not appreciating more like the At Last You're on Your Own.
Yes,
era
the music.
of Christian.
I was going to say the
The
music.
music was outstanding.
The opera
and
music.
I think the work is better in
Christian,
hindsight
that's so fire.
than I realized at the time. And then the Peeps
When he got to him,
gimmick
and then when he look, I don't care what
mean,
anybody says. I've
as
liked
good as
Christian.
Gold.
Edge is definitely probably the more valuable. He's gonna be in the history books above Christian. On a personal preference, I as a child have always liked Christian more than Edge in ways, man. I feel like that guy is just one of the more underrated people. I think he does everything so good, and it's one of those like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You're finally like respecting how great he is in the current nature. As when he's in AEW, he's showing you he's better than Edge right now, without it. At the current juncture,
the Edge
of professional
haircut
wrestling,
doesn't look good.
It's not the haircut. It's not the haircut. That's
It's
the
the
problem.
haircut. It's the haircut.
If we could debate this off the show, obviously we got a whole bunch of us.
Well, and I have a funny story I want to say about Christian too, for myself from high school, just really quickly before we move on to the next topic. So like we had in a creative writing class a project where we had to come up with a superhero, and it was right during the Captain Charisma era, and I like fully ripped it off of Christian. Like I did the whole project. Captain Charisma, I came up with all this stuff, used his terminology and everything, the whole thing, and I got an A on it. And like a month and a half later, my teacher one day, like, I'm walking into class and she looks at me and goes, "So he's a wrestler." And I was like, "Oh, I'm caught. Dang it." Like, I got away with it though. It was all good, but I basically just ripped the entire gimmick for the project.
So were they just flipping through the TV, or did somebody rat you out?
I don't know. It was one of my favorite professors, Penny Arion. Rest in peace. Actually, she was an amazing.
Oh no!
amazing
No wonder
teacher.
why he's
So,
confessing.
Like, no, like she was awesome. I got away with it. She thought it was funny and was one of my favorite teachers I ever had. But it's just a funny story. Like, I completely ripped the entire project off of Christian Cage being Captain Charisma.
Real instant classic there.
Oh, I literally took like the logo and used it as like the logo on the.
Oh, you didn't even
cover of
try.
the project. I didn't even try. No. I figured I'm like, there's no way she watches the WWE, and I was right. I didn't get caught till like it was too late. The grade was already in. Okay. Well, let's move on to our next topic. Finally,
The statute of limitations are over.
Yeah, let's move into.
Yeah, speaking of Copeland,
which is Edge. I actually really enjoyed this match. I do hear where you're coming from on the work on the mic when it comes to Christian Shad. So I get where you're coming from there, but I like this open challenge, and this was a well wrestled match given a lot of time. I forgot how good Buddy Murphy is. Sometimes I do forget just because his singles stuff on lower level shows in WWE, especially on NXT, 205 Live, things like that, was off the charts. And he's really yoked up now too. I feel like he's bulked up since he left WWE, and he was already pretty big then.
You know, Rhea got him right.
It's exactly right. Plenty of protein, but for me, this was as much about Buddy Matthews as it was about Adam Copeland. And Copeland wrestled a great match, and he got Buddy more over without putting him over. I think in some ways the crowd was a little too quiet for a match that was a real slugfest. I mean, they gave him 20 minutes. And I think that's cool on TV. This point in the show, I was like, oh, we're cruising. To me, it starts to get ugly late when it comes to last night's Dynamite. That's a shout out, David Sheldon. It starts to get ugly kind of during this match and after this match. Anthony, I'm going to have you break this down for me real quick. What do you think, though, about Buddy Matthews having maybe a bigger singles run, more TV time, right? Because this was a good match.
Buddy Matthews is somebody that I've liked. I think one of his best matches was, I think, his sole WrestleMania match against Tony Nese, I believe. It was the Cruiserweight match, if I'm not mistaken. It was an unbelievable match. Probably one of the best matches either guy had. As a whole, for me, for Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever you want to call him, I think they're using him too much. I think he has a finite tank left. I don't think he should be wrestling every week. I understand what he's trying to do to get Matthews over. I just don't think it looked good. And I think the show as a whole started going downhill after that first segment. It was not – it very much felt like a show booked as a house show for the people of Canada and not for a global audience. I really don't think it came off well. I thought the match went too long for a TV match with Edge being kind of older. And I'm a huge Edge fan. I just don't think this was a great showing for him, and him kind of winning out pretty much out of nowhere. I wasn't crazy about it. The thing at the end, the tease of will he turn to a dark side? I got to be honest. It's like a replay of what he did with Judgment Day, getting other people to turn. I don't really have an interest in this, whatever this is going. I just don't. But yeah, I don't think it was a great match. I thought it had potential, but I felt it went too long, and I don't think Copeland was able to keep up with Matthews, and Matthews wasn't able to slow it down enough that it made it passable.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think that was kind of what I was trying to say. I didn't word it really perfectly, but I thought the opening sequences of the match were really promising. So I'm sitting here like, we're cruising. I loved the opening segment of the show. I loved the Swerve segment, Christian. Now we're rolling, and then it sort of like hit a stop, to your point. It's not that I don't think Copeland looked blown up.
No, but the longer the match went on, it was more evident that we're looking at an older Edge.
Yeah.
That doesn't have much left in the tank. As career-wise, not blown up in the match, but career-wise.
Right.
You have a finite time left with him. Make it count.
Yes.
And I don't think this was the match to do that.
I will say, though, David Modge does agree with us, not only on this, but he said he'd like to see Buddy. Excuse me, sorry about that. He'd like to see Buddy Matthews wrestle more for sure. Yeah, we're all on the same page there. And then he said, "I agree with you."
I just don't think their chemistry was like 100% there at times too. Like
it was such a hot start. I loved the start of the match.
Yeah, it was a little too long for me. That was the main thing. Like I feel it got it, and then the spot with him coughing up blood. I mean, that was a
No,
bit
no,
scary.
no knock on Adam Copeland, but it did also, in some ways, feel a little bit like a wrestling yourself into shape match for something down the road. That would be something that that was
like
a
a
thought that I
training
had.
match. Like you felt like it
No,
was
no, almost like like you. It's kind of like when a NBA player or an NFL player returns from injury, and like they get
Go.
extra game reps to
Yeah, it's
like a
kind of
try
baseball
to
player playing rehab
back in the
games in the
game speed.
minors.
Get
yeah,
back in the game
you know,
speed.
yeah, not that. That's no knock on Buddy when I say that, but it did feel like, hey, we're gonna go extra long because Edge is gonna need to. Adam Copeland is going to need to soon. That would be the way that I looked at it, if that
And they
makes
don't-
sense.
and they don't have any house shows, so it's like you got.
Right.
Unfortunately, you have to do it on TV or just without an audience.
Without live events, it is
But-
different. There's no question about that, Anthony. That's a
true.
great point. Okay, speaking of stuff like that, though, this has nothing to do with that, but we do have to talk about our partners over at Next Level. It's awesome. If you ever been like looking for good wrestling content and you're like, where do I find it? How about all in one place? No gimmicks, no nothing, completely free to sign up, giveaways, all this good stuff. An awesome, awesome wrestling community being built over on Next Level. Just head over to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all of our content across all platforms in one place. Real easy to find. You just search us, Wrestling Republic. You can even search me. I've got some stuff up there. I need to do more, but that's not the point. Let's move on to our next topic. Let's get into the Orange Cassidy Trent stuff because we did not give the people what they wanted. And I'm disappointed. I'm a best friends guy. I've dug the best friends since the beginning.
I love that song.
The Kentucky gentleman. We need Drizzy out here to explain. We from Louisville, Chucky T. Chuck Taylor shares a last name with me. Absolutely thrown under the bus. Career-ending injury? What in the world are we talking about here? Oh, I
Golf
hope.
claps. Drizzy, talking to you. You told me on off the air that these guys were better best friends than Tatum Paxley. You are a fool, my friend.
Chuck's.
They're friendless.
What do you think Sue thinks of this, though? I don't. There's so much emotional involvement.
She is at a bingo hall crying right now.
Sue is beside her. She probably sold the minivan. You don't need the extra seats anymore. It's brutal.
Poor lady.
This killed me. Broke my heart, Shad. Talk to me about it.
I don't know, man. I said it last week. It is a interesting storyline because it has come out of left field, and I truthfully did not expect this faction to break up. And it's one of those cases where I feel like they're doing a little too much and they're making the wrong pivot. I like seeing left field moves. I like thinking outside the box. This is in the same parallel as the Street Profits going here with Bobby Lashley. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. The best friends are best suited as the best friends. Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, as good as they are as in-ring competitors, are not solo superstars, man. I hate to break it to anybody that thinks that they are. From what I saw Trent Beretta talking on the mic last night, he doesn't give me a guy who's going to survive as a solo single star. He doesn't come believable as a heel. He is best suited as a tag team partner, and that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The best friends are awesome, bro. Like all three of them together with Orange Cassidy rule. There isn't a trios division that needs compelling characters. The best friends in Orange Cassidy versus Bullet Club Gold could be good. Why break them up? It's a storyline I don't think is needed, and I think it does more detriment to these superstars. And I don't even want to talk about Don Callis recruiting Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy as heel is one of the most malpractice decisions you could ever make. That is one of the most lovable guys. I know it's not going to happen. It's going to be Trent Beretta going to this Callis paradox or whatever Jericho calls this thing that we're gonna talk about soon. Uh, no, man. I don't like it, bro. It's interesting because it's different, but it's not different for a good reason, in my opinion. I agree with you on that, Clark.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, and I hope Sue inserts herself into the storyline at any moment, grabs Trent by the ear, talks some sense into him.
Yes.
Turn your back on Chuck
that boy.
Taylor. He's never gonna wrestle again. Don't you dare.
She need to beat him with a slipper, bro. That's
He's
what my
the
mom used to do.
Kentucky gentleman. This is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and
Best friend.
even him telling us that he's not gonna wrestle again just came off as so unbelievable.
It did. It makes me mad also because they have
I'm
sick
gonna lie to you.
t-shirts.
It's not. I have a best friend's t-shirt in my drawer
Dude,
with the two
I've
dogs
been wearing
and
it
Orange
for
Cassidy as a
Christmas.
cat.
I've got the Christmas one. It's a classic. I wear it every Christmas. It's great. For the last few years.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not good.
Now, as you mentioned, we are going to get on to Chris Jericho, and we got to kind of get going here because we're going to get to throwback. But Anthony, Jericho and Shibata, we had a nice firm laugh about the trunks versus tights play by Chris Jericho. This was a very chest-centric match. This was really a lot about slapping each other in the chest. I don't know what to think, but he is still the FTW champion. Anthony, talk to me about Jericho and Shibata.
Oh, I can go on and on. But unlike this match, I will try to make this as quick of a kill as humanly possible. This was trash. Absolutely. Jericho years ago made fun of Roddy Piper when he came back to WWE, saying he was overweight. Well, now look at it, Jericho. Somebody should have advised him that the trunks were not a good idea, because that didn't help. And that was before the bell even rang. The match was trash. I don't know who that appealed to. Maybe the New Japan audience, maybe. But I was not entertained. I was literally texting, I believe, Archie and Shad the entire time going, why won't this end? I'm like, I'm mad that I have to sit here and watch this, because I know Ben was going to ask me to talk about this, because he knows I like to pull out the shovel and bury things like this. This to me was honestly the worst match of the year so far for me. This was,
I didn't think it was that bad.
This was the Jeff Jarrett chainsaw match all over again. I'm like,
didn't you see the mascot in GCW?
I don't watch.
Oh, don't disrespect the mascot.
I just assume GCW is trash. I don't even have to watch it. But the fact that I had to watch this, I resented it that I had to sit there and watch this, and because I knew I'd have to talk about it, but I have to watch what I say. So just make it very clear, I hated it, and let's move on.
So it sounds like Anthony did not like this segment, so let's move on to the next one.
Before we get to the next segment, I watched it with my wife. She said, why are these old guys just smacking each other in the chest all match? That's exactly what happened.
Contest.
They were slapping each other to make sure rigor mortis doesn't set in.
No, it was a calcium contest. It was who has the sturdier sternum.
I've heard of a purple nurple, but he had a purple esophagus, bro. Anyways,
dude, it was like, that had to peel, as far as I'm concerned. That's neither here nor there.
Oh, if you watch the Rampage, he looked proud of it. He had that joint flexing like Superman, like, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about a match though that I was stunned about. Serena Deeb and Mariah May. Mm-hmm. And I think Serena Deeb's awesome. But why? Why does she beat with a half crab Mariah May? Somebody splain, shot splain. I don't get it.
So you know what's crazy? I thought the finish should have been the whole little, like, she was doing the move where the little, like, spin around, like, submission type of thing where she was doing that. I thought that was good. I am going to be honest with you. I said it on Twitter yesterday. I thought this match was well wrestled. Serena Deeb, bell for bell, is one of the best women's wrestlers, if not the best technical wrestler in the AEW division. The thing is, she's one of these once in a blue moon people. And when I say that, she shows up once in a blue moon. We don't see her that often. She doesn't give us the believability of being a threat because she hasn't put the groundwork into it. You know who is a commodity in the women's division? Mariah May. You know who is a person that is over with the fans? Mariah May. You know who is a potential superstar in your women's division? Mariah May. You know what month we are in? May. Mariah May losing in the month of May is malpractice. And I am sick and tired of having this woman be a fall girl for Toni Storm every time she goes into a feud. This is rinse and repeat booking. I don't like it. The nuance of superstar is Mariah May, man. You have to build and push her to be that eventual competitor for Toni Storm, because I think that is your next in-line champion if we want to book storylines well and if we want to give it to a young potential star. The woman is darn near flawless on all facets of being a professional wrestler in the division. When you talk about being able to work, when you talk about having a character, when you're talking about being over, when you talk about telling stories, you have to build and grow that character. And I understand losses can help build the character and tell the story for it, but it's the same story. And this, she's losing to people that we know are not gonna lace her boots later on when she gets over. And we're pushing feuds and plugging feuds for Toni Storm just to have her to have matches. I don't like that. You know Serena Deeb is not gonna be a potential threat for her. You know Serena Deeb is going back to the back of the line after this. Let's do a little bit better with that. I don't like her taking losses so often every week, man. It really doesn't
I
on
am
me.
so with you. It bugs me to death. And David Maj in the comments gave me a classic right here. He goes, rumor has it people liked that Mariah May match. He called it the Mariah May match and she lost to Serena Deeb. And David's a good friend of the show, so I appreciate it. But like, dude,
I mean, bro,
that is so telling.
you-
It's like,
look, you got to think about it like this, man. The greatest wrestler in the entire world is Tiffany Stratton, and they're comparing her to Tiffany Stratton. So
Here's the thing with Serena.
Tiffy responded. She said, like, stop doing that. Sorry,
she gave her love.
man.
She gave her love, man. So
She
she's
did,
good
though.
in my books.
Okay, I think Serena she's talented, but she's talented in a lot of ways like Natalya Neidhart, where she can train people, and I think she's a good hand. No one's buying a ticket to see Serena wrestle. And I hate to say that, but like realistically, no one's buying a ticket to see her. I think she could train people, and I think she's a very good hand, but I don't see the charisma. I don't see anything that would make me buy a ticket to go see her
We've
wrestle.
got David Maj in the
The
comments.
last time she had charisma was when she got her head shaved by CM Punk.
Yeah.
Like, she ain't got no charisma.
Yeah.
You have the person with the least amount of charisma in a title match versus the woman who has the most charisma on the entire roster. And it is going to show levels on that. Like, if we build a feud and if they talk on the mic against each other, Tony is going to make her look
Tony's on another planet right now in a good way.
Yeah, but we
David
haven't
Maj
had them
in the
talk on
comments
the mic
here.
yet. Go ahead.
We got I don't think that I don't believe that he said
he didn't think the Kenny segment was his favorite one.
Yes. Which is what we're gonna get into right now. Basically, is where so Kenny Omega's back. Hometown, he's super back. It's awesome. We all dug it. At least I did. I mean, look, the attack part of it, diverticulitis is no joke. And so that part of the promo is like wild. And then Jack Perry jamming the chair into a spot that is like compromised. I didn't mind it. Kenny's strength has never been cutting a promo, but he can do it and he's good at it when he does.
Highly disagree.
What?
I think Kenny Omega is sensational in regards to cutting promos.
See, I think he's good, but not great.
I think his in-ring ability is so good that we are, programmed to think that he can't cut a promo.
That's fair.
I think he can cut a
That's
very
fair.
good promo.
No, I'm not saying I think he's bad at a promo. I would just not call it his strength too. Like, I actually am in agreement with you on that. I thought last night's was really good. The attack, everything was really good. This was the second biggest highlight to me outside of the pure cold open of the entire night, I will say. Because I love it made me mad when he got beat up. It made me mad. And Okada calling himself the best bout machine, all of it made me mad. And that was what I wanted in this spot in the show. Because other stuff made me frustrated in a way that was annoying along the way to this. This actually made me emotionally move to a point where I was like, dang it. Kenny, like, all this recovery, all that. I mean, he said out loud that he was 24 hours away from dying. That's serious. And I don't think that was conjecture. I think that was a shoot. Anthony, I'm going to ask you your opinion on this segment. Did you enjoy it? And Kenny's role in this whole storyline when it comes to the EVPs and the authority figures, I think is so key. It was just exciting to see it. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think this closing segment, much like the opening, were the best parts of the show. The rest of the show was a chore to get through. But this, I love this. And I've always liked Kenny, but I've never considered him a GOAT or anything. I know, people consider him a GOAT. I don't, but I think he's very good. But I thought the promo last night connected to me as an audience member because it was built on realism. Whether it was 100% like real or just had elements to it. We know he legitimately had diverticulitis and he almost died. I think that's 100% true. And I thought that was a connection to Kenny that we've never gotten. We've always gotten Kenny Omega the star. We've never gotten Kenny the person, I don't think, on AEW TV, at least from what I can recall. Personally, I understand giving all his accolades, by the way, when he came out. I hated the 7-star thing because that's not a real thing. It's somebody's opinion. It's not an actual accolade, but whatever. So I wasn't crazy about that, but that's a side thing. Kenny taking the shots made me very uncomfortable, cringe almost because of what he said. I would hope that wasn't reckless, that he got some blessing from some doctor somewhere. Because if he took it just to sell this story, I don't think that's a good move, personally, just for his own well-being. And God forbid if something happened after it, it would look bad on the company too.
Right.
So that would be my only concern where I felt very uncomfortable, not even just the chair shot alone, but
the chair was weird. But
when they threw him off of the gurney onto the floor, that really made me even more uncomfortable because that was completely unprotected. Like you're hitting gravity there. So the ground's the ground. He didn't land on a pad. He landed on concrete.
Right.
So it made me uncomfortable, which presumably that's what it was going for.
Right.
But
you would hope that they're doing that.
That's what they're going for, but extra uncomfortable, almost like if you go back and watch footage now, especially like during the Attitude Era, and you see an unprotected chair shot to the head, knowing what we know now about head injuries, it makes you very uncomfortable watching it. And that's what I felt watching this thing with Kenny. I am curious to see where it goes. I think they're adding layers to it, but that's what AEW needs. You need storytelling.
Yes.
Open strong with storytelling. That's the lifeblood of the business. And
yes.
I don't know why AEW just thinks dream match, that's good for a one-off, but that's not for long-term success in the business.
100% with you on that. But I loved the segment and the uncomfortability I think is important. Like my hope would be outside of, finger quotes, kayfabe. Kenny is healthier.
No, exactly.
He's admitting on the promo.
Yes,
and so he's cleared to take a bump like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And to deal with those spots. Shot, I got to ask you though, your thoughts on it. Kenny, the elite. I mean, I like that we got an authority figure and Kenny as a good guy is going to be fun, I think. Don't you?
Not only do I think this was the best segment last night for AEW, I think this has been the best segment in AEW so far this entire year, and maybe last year as well. This is exactly what AEW needs. You need to tell the stories like Anthony's point. You need to create that top-notch story that's going to get you over the hump. And why not use parallels of reality into a storyline? Yes, Kenny Omega is going through something very severe within medical reasons. He was able to tell that, but I trust the good nature that they aren't going to put him in any detriment where he is going to get in any harm in regards to how it was. But like you said to yourself, Clark, it had you invested. You had human emotions towards it. You had a lot of empathy for Kenny Omega, cutting a very amazing promo last night. You know, being super, man, like 100% who he is, man. Opening up his heart to what's going on with his life, letting the fans and the AEW universe know that this is why he's out and he's grateful to be alive and he really wants to get back into this. And goodness gracious, I don't think that there is a better heel faction in wrestling right now than these EVPs. I think the Young Bucks, Jack Perry and Okada are an incredible unit. I think them playing off of what has happened in real life with Kenny's injury, attacking him being the EVP. I thought all of it was tied beautifully together. Just the whole factor that he's still an EVP and he has rights too, and it's the EVPs versus the EVP with Okada and his history going on the New Japan, and then with that meddling little kid Jack Perry attacking him and really growing in, becoming a top heel at the moment. Like he's if I had to compare it, he's kind of like their Dominic Mysterio, man.
He is.
Like he's the guy that you just don't like. He's dastardly, you don't like him, but he's good at playing that role. And everything is just streamlining beautifully, bro. And we might not get the Kenny and Okada match soon. We'll probably get it down the road, but that's the beauty of it. These guys in position with this, they can maestro so many different storylines, and it's gonna work. Okada could feud with Swerve.
Yeah.
Okada could feud with another babyface champ. Jack could feud with other people. They got a good thing going right now, and they need to continue and let the ball roll with it.
I can't lie to you, dude. I can't believe it's not been that long since we were and waving our hands.
This is better, man.
Jack Perry. It's way better now, but I still can't believe it was this short of a period where he becomes this ultimate heel. And knowing the Luke Perry background, 90210, of course, whatever. I'm in SoCal, so I know the show pretty well. And to have Jack playing a character kind of similar as like the cocky, it's gonna be great. I'm all for it.
Obviously, before we get to the throwback topic, I think this is where I believe Tony Khan is allowing these guys as professionals to take the ball and be like, have trust in us and let us kind of, do what we got to do. This is going to work. And I think that's the beauty of it, man. Being able to, this is what I was wishing they would have done with Punk and before he headed out. Because if Punk was in position with all of this right now, they would have had something that could really go neck and neck with WWE in regards to storylines, man.
Egos.
Like, yeah, it's the ego thing, and obviously I don't know I don't know what happened backstage with it. I wish they could have made it work because for the sake of professional wrestling, bro, that could have been something great for us. But it is what it is. They're making the best what they can do with it, and I definitely appreciate what's going on right now.
Absolutely. I got to show this comment, though, for sure. Monster shout out my mom. I love you, mama. Fresh off of major dental surgery. Went under anesthesia this morning. What a legend watching the show. I love you, Mom.
Can we say it? Mama Taylor over Mama Wayne. She is
Absolutely.
She is not a coward like Mama Wayne.
She is not a coward like Mama Wayne. She's a legend. All-time legend. No doubt about it. Speaking of legends, though, let's talk about the Shield because it's Throwback Thursday. Their final match in 2019. And I can't lie to the audience here. I got to be truthful. I watched this whole thing when Jon Moxley debuted in AEW, but was blown away by it. And that's not to say I wasn't intrigued by the Shield story and all of it. This is one of the most unique WWE scenarios, I think, of all time. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this again. They basically threw Dean Ambrose a going away party. And that's fascinating. And it's a great show, and it stands up to this day. Anthony, head of opinions, and our resident historian, as you do on every Thursday, please break down the Throwback Thursday topic for me.
It's wild to think that 5 years ago, we saw the end of the Shield. We don't know if we'll ever see them again as a unit. They debuted in WWE in November of 2012 at the Survivor Series, helping then WWE champion CM Punk. And they ran roughshod of WWE. To me, long-term legacy-wise, I don't think there's a better three-man group in the history of the business. As much as people would look at something like the NWO. That's great, and it was industry changing. However, the members of the NWO were already established stars. Hogan already was the face of the industry, multiple-time world champion. Nash, same thing. Scott Hall, legendary as well. They already had that. These were three guys that got thrown together that had no prior experience tagging together and created magic. Those three guys got together in the back and said, we will take over this industry. And you look at that 12-year run, they did. Granted, two were in WWE, the others in AEW, but they have cemented legacies in this business. I never do this on Throwback. I always do it. I do it for Sold when we do it. I actually went back to pull up some notes because I wanted to make sure I got this right. In total, for the world titles of the three guys combined, this is only from 2012 on. I'm not counting Seth's Ring of Honor reigns. They have a total of 16 world titles between them. Now, the wild part, the wildest of all this, I looked up the total number of days that these three men have been world champions. Now, granted, Moxley's is still going on because he still has the IWGP. Guys, take a guess. How many years combined they have been world champions?
Oh, it's got to be like 5, 7.
Shaw, do you have a guess?
I got like 12.
9.3, 3,392 days. So that means in the 12-year run that they've had, only 3 years total, they have not held world title gold. At least one of them.
Wow.
Like,
that is fascinating.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that number blew me away. Like, I knew it would be high, especially with Roman's historic run that just ended at Mania. I knew it would be high, but I didn't think nine years. Like, that is just insane. They truly took over the industry. Like, that's what they set out to do. And the scary part is their careers aren't done. That number is going to go up, probably.
Yeah. It is unbelievable the success that they've had coming out of the partnership. The match specifically, though, is interesting because it's Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. So it's a heck of a team. And this is right before Drew goes on the Brock run.
And they put it on the network, which they never do. It was a house show, and they just put that one match on.
Yeah, literally, that was what I was kind of saying in the beginning was like, wait a minute, they did a going away gift for Dean Ambrose?
Mm-hmm.
Like, The last
For
one
Dean,
last triple powerbomb shot. I mean, talk to me about
for
it.
for Dean Ambrose to a sense, but it is more so to say goodbye to the faction in totality. And like to Anthony's point, man, like that team is so star-studded, and you don't realize how star-studded it is until you peel the onion back in layers and you see what they do as individual talents. But them as a unit was so fascinating. How they debuted, coming out the crowd, aligned with the whole CM Punk thing, and then just what they've done throughout years. Good, bad, but whatever it may be, these guys were focal points of a time frame in professional wrestling in that 2010 time frame, and they definitely did a lot. They had a lot of historical feuds, them and the Wyatt family, and yeah, that last match, it was a good send off, man. It's one of those things where you like to see you cope with that final goodbye to something that you like. And who knows? It may
Yeah,
not be a goodbye. They may reunite at some point. I don't know. We never know what happens in this business. It's hard to tell because Moxley it's kind of night and day. Ambrose and Moxley are like two different figures at this point. I feel like he has found so much success in professional wrestling going back outside of the WWE in AEW. I've always contributed to saying that, you talk about Kenny or Moxley, those guys are the arguable goats of what AEW is, in my opinion. And what we've seen with Roman Reigns being the tribal chief, having one of the most historical reigns in professional wrestling history. And then you have Seth Rollins, who, in my opinion, is the best member of the Shield. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, but he's my favorite member of the Shield. He's the guy who, had the infamous turn, breaking out of the Shield and joining the Authority. Like, these guys have created so many monumental moments, and it's one of those things where it's great to see them still going, and when they're done with their careers, you're gonna look back and you'll be like, dang man, these guys
it was
really
nuts.
are a powerhouse unit. They're gonna be in that same boat of an NWO, of a D Generation X when it comes to power factions. And if we're talking about like just pure weight of star power from being built to what they are, they can, argue as one of the best of all time just off of having three
Uh,
mainstays guys in pro wrestling.
I think the next time we see them, if there'll be a Hall of Fame induction. Is
I
the
was
most
about to
likely.
say, I'm afraid the next time that we'll see them publicly is
Probably the
being
Hall of Fame.
inducted together in the Hall of Fame. I read
Yep.
John Moxley's book, Dean Ambrose. It is outstanding. It's an awesome read. By the way, we've talked on the show about Becky Lynch's book that you just recently read, and that one, if you haven't read, is outstanding. But
Great book, too.
it does provide a lot of insight into his mindset when it comes to professional wrestling. And I agree with Anthony what you just said. I think the next time we see the three of them on stage anywhere together is in a Hall of Fame ceremony. I just think that's the way it's going to be.
I don't think there's been a better three-man stable. And by the way, when Seth turned, I think that was a brilliant line of going, I didn't sell out, I bought in, which I thought was just a great line.
It's great.
I'm a Triple H guy, so that got me instantly hooked to being a fan of Seth, bro. Like, that was a time frame where I was very spotty on watching wrestling, but like I always say, the Wyatt family and the Shield are like two groups that really had me watching from afar.
Totally.
And yeah,
The promos were NWOS too.
Seth
Remember the
is
original
awesome.
promos too.
By the way, guys, we could talk about this topic
Yes.
for another 20 minutes, but we are running out of time. I'm so sorry.
I'll be good.
That does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, everybody that tuned in. As always, Throwback Thursday. Shout out on behalf of all of us to everybody that tuned in. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. It means the world to us. Check us out every day. We'll be 3 hours earlier tomorrow and the next day and the other days. But check out the daily at noon Pacific. That's 3 in the East. That's 8 o'clock in the UK. And that is 9 in Hawaii and 4 in Manila. Everyone have an excellent Thursday night. And we'll talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much.